2017, Parks Canada embarked on an ambitious $6.4 million project to bring Plains bison back to Canada's first national park in Banff, Alberta. After an absence of more than 140 years, the Banff bison were airlifted by helicopter from Elk Island National Park to their new home. This reintroduction project aimed to restore this iconic species to its historical range. Join us as we explore this incredible 7-year journey of this historic conservation effort and discover how it's revitalizing the landscape and reconnecting people to a keystone species.
The project's important for 4 big reasons. First is the ecological, returning bison so they resume their role in this larger ecosystem. The second reason is cultural, particularly with reference to Indigenous people, is a huge act of reconciliation. Third reason is the contribution to the global conservation of Plains bison, an imperiled species. And then finally is inspiration. And this project really has been inspirational for Canadians and globally for all people in what we're doing. It's pretty huge. We're bringing back North America's largest land mammal to Canada's first national park.
For thousands of years, Plains bison roamed the valleys of what is now Banff National Park. As a keystone species, they played a critical role in shaping the ecosystem. Their grazing habits promoted biodiversity, their wallows created habitat for other species, and they were an integral part of Indigenous cultures. However, by the late 1800s, overhunting had pushed bison to local extinction in the area. Parks Canada has been leading bison recovery efforts for over a century, and the Banff Bison Reintroduction Project represents a significant milestone in that conservation story.
We know that bison were an integral part of this landscape. They played an important role in the whole food web and affected all kinds of other species, from fish to amphibians to songbirds to predators like wolves and bears. And so one of the key actions in our park management plan most recently was to work to restore wild bison to Banff National Park.
We'll truck them for 400 kilometers. That'll then take us to the end of the gravel road, Yahatinda Ranch, and then we'll actually bring a helicopter in tomorrow, a heavy lift helicopter that's come in from the coast, and that'll pluck each individual crate off the flatbed trucks. It's one by one over the ridge, about 20 kilometers into the heart of the reintroduction zone, where we have a pasture fenced, where we're going to hold them for the next 16 months, feed them, support them, allow them to calve safely twice, and then do the release after they've anchored to that landscape and have adopted it as their new home.
Before the bison were translocated to Banff, they underwent extensive health testing to ensure they were free of diseases, such as bovine tuberculosis. This was a critical step in protecting the health of both the reintroduced bison and the existing wildlife in the park. Once in Banff, the bison were fitted with GPS collars, allowing Parks Canada to closely monitor their movements, habitat use, and interactions with other species. This data has been invaluable in understanding how the bison are adapting to their new environment and how this has informed management decisions throughout the pilot project. In preparation for the bison's arrival, Parks Canada used prescribed fires to restore native grasslands in the reintroduction area. This helped create a suitable mosaic of habitats for bison and other species that benefit from their grazing activities.
These forests have evolved for thousands of years with a natural burn cycle. And what fire does is it takes an old, mature forest and it renews it. It recycles the nutrients and it creates new habitat and new environment for other species.
Prescribed fire is a fire that we light intentionally that has multiple objectives, so whether they're resource management or ecological objectives. Conducting prescribed fire for the benefit of wildlife can take in several forms, but for instance, for bison, fire will release nutrients into the soil and allow kind of the grass to regenerate. We can use fire to maintain meadows, and so by burning it, you'll be reducing the amount of shrub and tree and increasing the amount of grass that a bison will graze upon.
And before we talk more about the reintroduction of Banff's bison, I just want to let you all know that we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And it would mean a lot if you could hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the video and if you want to learn about important environmental stories every single week and how to make an impact in your local area. Let's get back to the video. So the project began in February 2017 with the translocation of 16 healthy bison from Elk Island National Park to Banff's remote Panther Valley. The herd spent the first 18 months in a soft release pasture, allowing them to bond to their new home under the watchful eye of Parks Canada staff. During this time, the herd grew to 36 animals, with the birth of the first calves in the wild in over a century. In July 2018, the bison were released to roam freely in a 1,200 square kilometer reintroduction zone.
And tomorrow's the big day, where we actually get to snip the fence, open it up, and they become truly wild, free roaming animals. And I wish everybody could be here and actually see them, take their first few steps down the corridor that we've built for them, and then into that massive expanse. My heart's gonna skip a few beats, and there'll definitely be a huge wave of emotion when that happens.
Throughout the pilot project, adaptive management strategies were employed to address challenges and ensure the success of the reintroduction. For example, wildlife-friendly fencing was installed in strategic locations to discourage bison from leaving the reintroduction zone, and gentle hazing techniques were used when necessary to redirect the animals. These proactive measures have been instrumental in ensuring the bison remain within their designated area while minimizing potential conflicts with human activities and neighboring landowners. Parks Canada is utilizing a variety of methods and techniques to track and monitor the bison herd, led by some amazing scientists and wildlife professionals. Let's take a look at some of the work that they are doing to manage Banff's bison.
We have a team of technicians, often referred to as the bison stewards, who go out and work in the backcountry on multi-day shifts and monitor the bison for us. And so either by doing a heli flight periodically, but also getting out of the land, whether it's ski touring or riding on horseback or hiking.
So now that we have them on the landscape, we're really trying to understand how they are reintegrating back into this place where they've been gone for over 100 years. The role of our team is now to do the research and to monitor these animals.
Today we're skiing up the Panther Valley. We're leaving Barrier, and we'll be trying to get a visual of the main herd, see if we can get a count, as well as use some telemetry to get a better location of any others that we can't find.
So when we're doing telemetry, what we're doing is bison have collars fitted on them, and that collar sends out a signal. So we can go through this and listen to see if we can hear individual animals. We got 4. Okay. Got a rough count of about 13 or 14 in that small group up there, about a kilometer away.
We're collecting some scat samples from the bison. They were here a few days ago to find out exactly what they've been eating. So, just going to take a little bit of sample and collect it.
Just got to one of the bison remote wildlife cameras. We use these cameras for monitoring the bison. It's a good tool to see how they're looking, their body condition and health.
So we've finalized the location for a new camera. It's going to be capturing video up above the Panther River. So we've just set it up and tested it. We arm it and then we walk in front of it just to make sure it's capturing the images that we want.
Indigenous involvement was crucial throughout the reintroduction process. Treaty 6 and Treaty 7 nations and the Métis Nation of Alberta were engaged in the project planning, and their feedback was incorporated into the reintroduction plan. Indigenous blessing ceremonies were held at key milestones, including before the initial translocation, and prior to the full release into the wild to prepare the bison for their new journey. So the Banff Bison Reintroduction Project has achieved remarkable success in the first 5 years. The herd has grown from the original 16 animals to approximately 80 individuals, and in 2024 there's almost 100 individuals now, with an average growth rate of 33% per year and natural mortality rate of less than 1% per year. This robust population growth bodes well for both the long-term survival of the herd and their ability to fulfill their ecological role. Encouragingly, the bison have demonstrated strong fidelity to the reintroduction zone, with 97% of GPS collar locations occurring within the target area. Preliminary studies have found no significant negative impacts on other wildlife, such as elk or bighorn sheep, at current bison densities. The project has also strengthened relationships with Indigenous groups through the incorporation of traditional knowledge, participation in hikes, and youth filmmaking workshops. So as the pilot project concludes, Parks Canada is engaging with Indigenous groups, stakeholders, and the public to shape the future of bison conservation in Banff. Based on the success of the reintroduction and positive feedback from consultations, bison will remain on the landscape within the park for the foreseeable future. The development of a long-term bison management plan will guide the stewardship of this iconic species, ensuring that they continue to thrive while minimizing potential conflicts with human activities. You can be a part of this historic conservation story by learning more about the Banff Bison Reintroduction Project, sharing the story with others, and supporting local ongoing conservation efforts to protect and restore natural heritage and ecosystems. Together, we can ensure that iconic species like the plains bison, or whatever species is close to you, remain an important part of your local ecosystems. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.
You know, we're talking about giving a species a second chance. The seed that we are planting today, you can't almost imagine what it might lead to in 50 or 100 years.